Commander Lisa Cooper stood at the main viewport of the UES Defiant, her blue eyes fixed on the holographic display showing multiple unknown objects entering the solar system. Her hand instinctively tightened on the command rail as the ship's sensors continued tracking the approaching vessels. "How many ships are we looking at now, Lieutenant?" she asked, keeping her voice steady despite the growing tension in the command center. 47 large vessels, Commander. They're in an attack formation we've never seen before, responded Lieutenant Alan Parker from his station. The young officer's fingers moved quickly across his console, gathering more data. "They're not matching any known configurations in our database." Cooper nodded slowly, her short blonde hair catching the light from the tactical displays. She had trained for this moment her entire career, but nothing could truly prepare humanity for its first contact with hostile aliens. The Defiant was Earth's most advanced scout ship, positioned at the edge of the solar system, specifically to watch for threats like this. "Send the first contact package again," she ordered. "All frequencies, all known protocols." Minutes passed in tense silence. Then, without warning, every screen in the command center flashed with an alien face. The creature had gray-blue skin, large black eyes, and what appeared to be breathing tubes along its neck. When it spoke, the ship's AI translated its words into English. "Primitive species of Earth," the alien announced, its voice filled with contempt. "I am Supreme Commander Zartil of the Zarx Confederation. Your solar system now belongs to us. Surrender immediately, and we may allow some of you to live as servants." Cooper's jaw tightened. She had expected many possible responses to humanity's first contact messages, but an immediate demand for surrender hadn't been high on the list. "This is Commander Lisa Cooper of the United Earth Ship Defiant. We are a sovereign species with rights to our solar system. We request peaceful dialogue." The alien commander cut her off with a harsh sound that might have been laughter. "You have no understanding of your position. Your primitive weapons and single scout ship cannot hope to stand against the might of our fleet. We have conquered 12 star systems in the past cycle alone. You have one planetary rotation to submit to our authority." The transmission cut off abruptly. Cooper immediately opened a secure channel to Earth's military council. "Admiral Hayes, please tell me you received all that." Admiral Robert Hayes' weathered face appeared on her screen. Despite the situation, his expression remained calm. "We got it all, Commander. The President is being briefed now. What's your tactical assessment?" Cooper pulled up the sensor data on her personal display. "Their technology is advanced, sir, but they're overconfident. They're not even trying to mask their energy signatures or shield frequencies. They clearly don't expect any real resistance." Hayes nodded, a slight smile crossing his face. "Then they're in for one hell of a surprise. Commander Cooper, you are ordered to fall back to Mars' defense perimeter. We're implementing Protocol Omega." Cooper's eyes widened. Protocol Omega was something she had been briefed on only once, and even then, the details had been classified beyond her clearance level. "Understood, sir. What about the civilian colonies on Mars? Evacuation is already underway. We've been preparing for this possibility for decades. The Zarx think they're dealing with a primitive species that just figured out space travel. They don't know that we discovered one of their crashed scout ships 30 years ago." Cooper began implementing her retreat orders, but curiosity got the better of her. "Sir, is it true then? About Project Thunderchild?" Hayes' expression became serious. "You'll find out soon enough, Commander. Just be ready for when they make their first move." Hayes out. As the Defiant began its strategic withdrawal, Cooper watched the alien fleet's approach on her tactical display. The Zarx ships moved with obvious arrogance, not bothering with evasive patterns or electronic countermeasures. They clearly expected no resistance. "Send all sensor data to Earth Command," Cooper ordered. "Every bit of information we can gather might help." She paused, looking at her crew's determined faces. "And everyone, whatever happens next, remember this moment. This is the day they made the mistake of underestimating humanity. The Defiant's engines hummed as the ship accelerated toward Mars, leaving behind a network of nearly invisible sensors to track the invasion fleet. In the ship's wake, the stars seemed to shine a little colder, as if they too were waiting to see humanity's response to this threat. On Earth, in a classified facility deep beneath the Nevada desert, klaxons began to sound. Project Thunderchild was about to be unveiled, and the galaxy would never be the same. Deep beneath the Nevada desert, Dr. Emily Foster walked quickly through the bright white corridors of Project Thunderchild. Red warning lights flashed along the walls as hundreds of scientists and military personnel rushed to their stations. After 30 years of preparation, the moment had finally arrived. "Status report," she called out as she entered the main control room. The massive chamber was filled with rows of computers and a giant holographic display showing the huge ship hidden within an underground hangar. "All systems are ready," Dr. Foster reported Chief Engineer Brian Martinez. He looked up from his screens with excitement in his eyes. "The US Nemesis is fully powered up for the first time. She's more beautiful than we imagined." Emily moved to the main window overlooking the hangar. The sight still took her breath away. The US Nemesis was unlike any ship ever built on Earth. Its dark hull seemed to absorb light, and its shape reminded her of an ancient sword, sleek, deadly, and purposeful. The ship was nearly a mile long, built using a combination of human innovation and technology reversed engineered from the crashed Zarx scout ship. "Captain Wilson has arrived," announced a voice over the intercom. Minutes later, Captain David Wilson strode into the control room. He was tall and carried himself with quiet confidence. At 45 years old, he had been chosen specifically to command humanity's most advanced warship. "Dr. Foster," he greeted with a nod. "I've studied every detail about this ship, but seeing her in person..." He shook his head in amazement. Emily smiled. "Wait until you meet Araya." She pressed a few buttons on her console, and a holographic woman appeared before them. Araya, the ship's artificial intelligence, had been designed to look like a young woman with flowing data streams making up her form. "Hello, Captain Wilson," Araya said, her voice clear and friendly. "I look forward to working with you. I've already begun analyzing the Zarx fleet's tactics based on the Defiant's sensor data." Wilson raised an eyebrow. "What have you found?" "They are predictable," Araya replied. "Their technology is advanced, but their tactics show signs of long-term complacency. They haven't faced a real challenge in centuries." Their conversation was interrupted by Admiral Hayes's voice over the emergency channel. "The Zarx have launched their first attack on Mars colony. Time to show them what humanity can do." Emily turned to Captain Wilson. "The Nemesis has several systems the Zarx won't expect. The phase shields can absorb their energy weapons and redirect the power to our own systems. The quantum torpedoes can bypass their shields completely. And the stealth system," she smiled, "well, they won't see us coming." "All personnel, begin launch sequence," Wilson commanded. The entire facility rumbled as massive doors began to open above the hangar. The Nevada desert split apart, revealing the massive ship within. "Araya, start main engines," Emily ordered. The ship's power core, a combination of antimatter and reversed-engineered alien technology, hummed to life. Blue energy pulsed through lines along the hull. Captain Wilson turned to his bridge crew, all specially chosen and trained for years for this moment. "Everyone knows their duties. Humanity is counting on us, not just to fight, but to show the galaxy that underestimating Earth was the biggest mistake the Zarx ever made." The crew took their positions as Wilson sat in the command chair. Araya's holographic form stood beside him, data streaming through her transparent figure as she monitored all ship systems. "Launch in 5 minutes," announced Emily. She looked at Wilson. "The ship is yours, Captain." The Nemesis was built to protect Earth, but also to show that humanity deserves its place among the stars. The massive ship rose slowly from its hidden base, sand falling away from its dark hull. In orbit, satellites tracked its ascent, but to the Zarx sensors, there would be nothing to see. The Nemesis's stealth systems made it completely invisible to their technology. "Set course for Mars," Wilson ordered. "Let's introduce ourselves to our uninvited guests." The ship's engines flared to life, and the US Nemesis shot forward with impossible speed. Humanity's secret weapon was finally unleashed, and the galaxy was about to learn that Earth was far from defenseless. In the command center below, Emily Foster watched the ship disappear into the sky. "Good hunting," she whispered. The real test of Project Thunderchild was about to begin. The red soil of Mars filled the main view screen of the US Nemesis as Captain Wilson watched the Zarx fleet bombard the evacuation sites. Thankfully, most colonists had already escaped through underground tunnels, but the aliens didn't know that. Their ships fired carelessly at empty buildings, clearly enjoying what they thought was an easy victory. "RRA, what's their shield status?" Wilson asked, his voice calm despite the destruction he was watching. The AI's holographic form flickered with streams of data. "Their shields are at minimum power, Captain. They're not expecting any resistance. 10 ships are in range of our weapons." "Perfect." Wilson smiled slightly. "Time to change their minds about Earth. Lieutenant Parker, power up main weapons. Keep stealth systems engaged until my mark." The bridge crew worked silently at their stations. The Nemesis had moved into position right in the middle of the Zarx fleet, but thanks to their advanced stealth technology, the aliens had no idea they were there. "Sir," called out Rachel Duncan from Tactical, "I have a clear shot at their command ship." Wilson nodded. "All hands, battle stations. ARA, begin recording. I want the whole galaxy to see this." He stood from his command chair. "Send this message to the Zarx fleet. This is Captain David Wilson of the US Nemesis. You were warned once. Now learn why you should have listened." "Dropping stealth field now," Araya announced. The US Nemesis appeared suddenly in the heart of the enemy fleet, its dark hull reflecting the light of Mars below. For a moment, nothing happened. The Zarx ships stopped firing at the surface, their sensors finally detecting the massive Earth ship among them. "They're powering up weapons," Rachel reported. 5 ships turning to engage. "Show them what we can do," Wilson ordered. "Target their lead ship, 1 quantum torpedo. Full power." The Nemesis fired a single shot. The blue-white torpedo passed straight through the Zarx ship's shields like they weren't even there. The alien vessel exploded in a brilliant flash of light. Panic spread through the Zarx fleet. Their ships began firing wildly at the Nemesis, but Chief Engineer Martinez's shield design proved its worth. The alien weapons hit the phage shields and seemed to disappear. "Shields absorbing 100% of enemy fire," Martinez reported proudly from engineering. "Power levels actually rising from the energy we're taking in." Supreme Commander Zartil's face appeared on the main screen, his gray-blue skin now pale with shock. "Impossible. You're supposed to be primitives." "You should have done better research," Wilson replied calmly. "Here's your last chance to retreat. Leave our solar system now, or we'll be forced to demonstrate more of our capabilities." In response, more Zarx ships moved to attack position. Araya's hologram smiled. "They're attempting to surround us, Captain." Standard Zarx battle formation, exactly as predicted from their tactical database. "Then let's show them something they've never seen before." Wilson turned to Rachel. "Execute Battle Plan Sierra. Full spread of quantum torpedoes, followed by antimatter pulse." The Nemesis moved with impossible speed for a ship its size. Quantum torpedoes launched in all directions, each finding their target with perfect accuracy. 4 more Zarx ships exploded. Then the Nemesis released a wave of blue energy that spread outward in all directions. When it touched the alien ships, their power systems went dead. "Enemy fleet is disabled," Araya reported. "Their backup systems will take approximately 1 hour to restart." Wilson opened a channel to all ships. "This was just one Earth ship, Supreme Commander. We have more. The next time you see the Nemesis, we won't be so merciful. Spread the word to your confederation. Earth is not defenseless, and we are not primitive. The remaining Zarx ships that could still move began to retreat, leaving their powerless companions behind. On the surface of Mars, the human colonists emerged from their bunkers to see their attackers fleeing from a single Earth ship. "Send a message to Earth Command," Wilson ordered. "Mars is secured. The Zarx have been driven back. But this is just the beginning." In the ship's medical bay, the crew treated their only injury, an engineer who had sprained his wrist during the excitement. The first battle had been won without a single human casualty. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity was far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Lieutenant Kate Morrison stood before the Galactic Council, her head held high. The circular chamber was filled with representatives from 50 different alien species, all watching her with a mixture of fear and curiosity. News of the US Nemesis's victory over the Zarx fleet had spread quickly through the galaxy. "So," spoke Counselor Vix, a tall being with silver skin, "you claim humans built this ship without help from any advanced civilization." "That's correct," Kate replied confidently. She pressed a button on her tablet, showing a hologram of the Nemesis. "We developed most of this technology ourselves. Yes, we found a crashed Zarx scout ship, but we only used it to understand basic principles. The real innovations are purely human." Murmurs filled the chamber. A reptilian counselor named Sith leaned forward. "Impossible. Your species only achieved spaceflight a century ago. The Zarx say you are primitives." Kate smiled. The Zarx were wrong. Their fleet learned it the hard way at Mars. She played a recording of the battle. The council chamber went silent as they watched the Nemesis appear in the middle of the Zarx fleet and disable their ships with ease. "The ship you see wasn't built for conquest," Kate continued. "It was built for defense. Humanity knew we weren't alone in the galaxy. We prepared for first contact, hoping for peace but ready for war. The Zarx Confederation demands we help them destroy this threat," announced Counselor Dren, his tentacles waving in agitation. "They offer significant rewards to any civilization that aids them." Kate's voice remained calm but firm. "Before you consider that offer, remember what one Earth ship did to their fleet. We have more ships under construction. Is joining their fight worth the risk?" The chamber erupted in heated discussion. Kate noticed several representatives quickly sending messages, likely telling their governments to reject any alliance with the Zarx. During a break in the session, an elderly alien approached Kate privately. His species was known as the Archivers, the galaxy's historians. "Lieutenant Morrison, I am Keeper Zinn. There is something you should know about Earth." Kate followed him to a quiet corner. "What is it, Keeper?" "We have ancient records," Zinn whispered, "stories of a world whose people could create wonders. They vanished long ago, but their planet's description matches Earth. Your quick advancement, it might not be just human ingenuity. Something in your world, in your people's DNA, might be awakening." Before Kate could ask more questions, alarms sounded through the council chamber. The main screen showed a Zarx battle fleet approaching the council station. "They wouldn't dare," gasped Counselor Vix. "This is neutral space." Kate's communicator beeped. Captain Wilson's voice came through clearly. "Lieutenant, I hope you're done with diplomacy. The Nemesis just picked up multiple Zarx ships heading your way." She smiled. "Perfect timing, Captain. The whole Galactic Council is here to see what happens next." The chamber's view screen showed the Zarx fleet coming out of faster-than-light travel. But as they approached, a dark shape appeared between them and the station. The US Nemesis decloaked, its hull seeming to absorb the light of nearby stars. "This is Captain David Wilson of the US Nemesis," his voice boomed through the council chamber speakers. "This station is under Earth's protection. Retreat immediately." The Zarx ships opened fire. The Nemesis's phase shields lit up, absorbing every shot. The council members watched in amazement as the Earth ship shields actually grew brighter with each hit. They still haven't learned, Kate said to the stunned council. Would anyone else like to test humanity's capabilities? The Nemesis fired a single warning shot that disabled the Zarx flagship's weapons. The rest of their fleet retreated quickly, leaving their commander behind to face the shame of another defeat. As the council session resumed, Kate noticed a change in how the representatives looked at her. The fear was still there, but now there was respect too. Earth wasn't just some primitive world anymore. It was a power that could stand against the galaxy's bullies. Keeper Zinn caught her eye and nodded slowly. Something was changing in the galaxy, and humanity was at the center of it all. The US Nemesis hadn't just brought fear to the stars. It had brought hope to those who needed protection from species like the Zarx. The US Nemesis dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Zarx space. The massive ship's dark hull blended perfectly with the backdrop of stars. On the bridge, Captain Wilson studied the tactical display, showing 5 Zarx colony worlds ahead of them. Status report. Wilson called out to his crew. Rachel Duncan looked up from her tactical station. 3 defense stations detected, Captain. Their shields are stronger than what we faced at Mars. She smiled slightly, but not strong enough. Sir, Security Officer John Rivers spoke up from his station. I've decoded more of their communications. Something's wrong here. The Zarx colonies are arguing with their central command. Some of them want to surrender to Earth already. Aria's holographic form appeared beside Wilson. Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the 3rd planet. They match patterns we found in the ancient records Dr. Foster sent us. Wilson leaned forward in his command chair. Show me. The main screen displayed a massive structure on the planet's surface. It looked older than anything the Zarx had built, with symbols that seemed to glow with their own light. That's not Zarx technology, Rivers said, checking his data. According to their own records, they found it when they took this world from another species. They've been trying to activate it for decades. Before Wilson could respond, 3 Zarx battleships appeared nearby. But instead of attacking, they'd broadcast a message. US Nemesis, a tired-looking Zarx commander, appeared on screen. I am Commander Vextel of the Colony Defense Force. We request peaceful contact. Wilson shared a surprised look with his crew. This could be a trap, Rachel warned. Maybe, Wilson agreed. But something's happening here that's bigger than our fight. Aria, full scan of those ships. Their weapons are powered down, Aria reported. And their commander appears to be telling the truth. Their colonies are breaking away from the Confederation's central government. Commander Vextel spoke again. The attack on Earth was not our choice. The Supreme Commander acted without full council approval. Now, after seeing your ship's power, many of us question everything we were taught about primitive species. Wilson stood up. What about that ancient structure on your colony world? The Zarx commander looked surprised. You can detect that. Our scientists say it's millions of years old. It started glowing with strange energy 2 days ago, right after news of your ship reached this sector. Security Officer Rivers suddenly straightened in his chair. Captain, I found something in their database. The symbols on that structure, they're an exact match to markings we found in old caves on Earth. The bridge went quiet. Wilson turned to Aria. What are the chances of that being a coincidence? Approximately 0, Captain. The eye replied. This appears to confirm Dr. Foster's theory about Earth's ancient connections to advanced civilizations. Wilson made his decision. Commander Vextel, we accept your request for peaceful contact. But first, tell us everything you know about that structure. Better than that, the Zarx commander replied. I'll show you. Our scientists have been trying to enter it for years. Maybe your people will have better luck. As the Nemesis moved closer to the planet, more colonial defense ships arrived. But they didn't come to fight. They formed an honor guard around the Earth ship, their actions visible to everyone in that sector of space. The galactic news networks are going crazy. Rivers reported with a grin. The Zarx Confederation is falling apart. Seems nobody wants to fight the species that built the Nemesis. Rachel looked at her tactical display. Central Command ships approaching from the capital world, sir. A lot of them. Let them come, Wilson said calmly. The colonies have chosen peace. If their leaders want to learn the same lesson we taught them at Mars, we're ready. The bridge crew prepared for possible battle, but everyone's minds were on the ancient structure below. Somehow, humanity's first major conflict in space had led them to what might be the biggest discovery in Earth's history. Send a message to Earth Command, Wilson ordered. Tell them we may have found something that changes everything we thought we knew about human history. Dr. Emily Foster stood in front of the ancient structure, her heart racing with excitement. The US Nemesis hung in the sky above, while teams of both human and Zarx scientists worked around her. The building's walls glowed with a soft blue light, pulsing like a heartbeat. It's responding to human presence, she said into her recorder. Just like the artifacts we found on Earth. She walked closer to the wall, where symbols identical to those found in Earth's caves stretched from ground to sky. Captain Wilson stood nearby with Commander Vextall, both watching the scientists work. How long has this been here? Wilson asked. The Zarx commander's breathing tubes fluttered nervously. Our records say it was here when we arrived, 500 years ago. The species that lived here before us claimed it was ancient even then. But now, he gestured at the glowing walls. It never did this before your ship arrived. Emily pressed her hand against one of the symbols. Suddenly, the entire structure hummed to life. The ground shook gently, and a doorway appeared in the previously solid wall. Dr. Foster. Navigator Mark Stevens called out from his sensor station. These energy readings, they're exactly like the Nemesis power core. Emily's eyes widened. That's impossible. We designed that core ourselves. Did we? Mark asked quietly. Or did we just remember something our ancestors knew? The team entered the structure carefully. Inside, they found a large chamber filled with holographic displays, all springing to life at their presence. Araya's avatar appeared among them, her form flickering with excitement. I can read this data, the AI announced. It's not alien at all. It's an ancient form of human language. This is a library, a record of human civilization from over 1 million years ago. Emily felt her hands shake as she looked at the displays. We were here before. Humans, we weren't just on Earth. We were out here among the stars. The Great Plague, Araya continued, processing the information. A disease that affected space-traveling humans. They retreated to Earth, went back to basics, hoped to start again. They left these structures as libraries, waiting for their descendants to return to space. Commander Vextall made a strange sound. Then the Zarx Confederation. All this time, we were the primitives. We were the ones who didn't understand. Captain Wilson's communicator buzzed. Sir, Rachel's voice came through. The Zarx capital fleet is almost here. 200 ships. They know, Emily said suddenly, looking at more data. Their leaders knew about humanity's past. That's why they attacked Earth. They were afraid we'd remember who we were. Wilson's face hardened. Send a message to the capital fleet. Tell them we know the truth now. About everything. The response came quickly. Supreme Commander Zartil himself appeared on their communicators. You don't understand what you're dealing with. Your ancestors nearly destroyed the galaxy with their power. We swore to prevent their return. No, Emily countered, reading more from the displays. The records show humanity was a protector species. We defended younger civilizations, helped them grow. We only retreated because of the plague. She looked at Vextall. Your leaders twisted the truth. The structure's holographic displays showed scenes from the past. Human ships helping other species, protecting them from natural disasters and hostile threats. The Nemesis, they realized, wasn't just a breakthrough in technology. Its design was stored in human genetic memory, waiting to be rediscovered. The Zarx didn't attack Earth because they thought we were primitive, Wilson said, understanding finally dawning. They attacked because they knew we weren't. Outside, the capital fleet arrived in the system. But they faced not just the Nemesis now. The colonial defense forces stood with the Earth ship, their commanders finally knowing the truth about both their leaders and humanity's real history. Emily looked at the star map, showing thousands of similar structures on different worlds. We're not just fighting for Earth anymore, she said. We're reclaiming humanity's place as guardians of the galaxy. The final battle was about to begin. But now, the US Nemesis and its crew fought with the knowledge that they weren't just protecting their home. They were continuing a legacy millions of years old, awakening abilities and wisdom their ancestors had left sleeping in their DNA. Above them, the Nemesis's hull seemed to glow with the same light as the ancient structure, as if the ship itself was remembering its true heritage. The space around the ancient structure lit up with weapons fire as the final battle began. The US Nemesis moved with grace through the chaos, its dark hull now bearing subtle patterns of glowing blue light that matched the ancient building below. All colonial ships, stay behind us, Captain Wilson commanded. His voice was calm despite the 200 Zarx capital ships approaching. We'll handle the front line. Aria's hologram appeared, her form now showing the same patterns as the ship's hull. Captain, the knowledge from the ancient structure has integrated with our systems. Power levels are now 300% above normal. On the bridge, Rachel Duncan smiled at her tactical display. Their fleet formations, they're sloppy. They're scared. They should be, Wilson replied. But this ends without destroying their ships if possible. Humanity were guardians once. Time to be that again. The Nemesis charged forward, its enhanced shields glowing brightly as enemy fire splashed harmlessly against them. The ship's new weapons, gifts from humanity's ancient past, fired precise shots that disabled the Zarx ships without destroying them. Supreme Commander Zartil's voice boomed across all channels. You cannot take command of this sector. The other species fear humanity's return. Let's show them they're wrong, Wilson said to his crew. Aria, activate the Guardian's protocol we found in the ancient data. The Nemesis released waves of golden energy that swept through space. Where they touched Zarx ships, their weapons shut down. The energy wasn't destroying, it was protecting, preventing more violence. In the ancient structure below, Dr. Foster watched through the holographic displays. Just like the old records showed, she whispered. Humanity never used its power to conquer. We used it to keep peace. Commander Vextel stood beside her, his breathing tubes quivering with emotion. My people were wrong about yours. We let fear of your potential make us forget our own values. Above, the battle was ending before it truly began. The Zarx capital ships hung powerless in space, their crews watching in awe as the Nemesis demonstrated power they had only read about in ancient warning stories. Supreme Commander, Wilson called out, your weapons are disabled. Your colonies have chosen peace. Surrender, and let's talk about humanity returning to its role as guardians of the galaxy. This time with the Zarx as allies, not enemies. There was a long silence. Then, one by one, the Zarx ships began lowering their shields. Supreme Commander Zartil's image appeared on the main screen, looking older and very tired. Perhaps, he said slowly, it is time for change. The old stories, they didn't just speak of humanity's power. They spoke of their wisdom. We forgot that part. 1 month later, Commander Lisa Cooper stood in the Galactic Council chamber. The US Nemesis had returned to Earth, but its impact had changed the galaxy forever. The Zarx Confederation had reformed, with its colonies given more freedom and its leadership changed. Earth had been given a seat on the council, with Cooper chosen as humanity's first representative. We found 30 more ancient structures, she announced to the council. Each one contains more knowledge from our ancestors. But this time, we won't keep it to ourselves. Humanity remembers its purpose now. We offer our protection, and our wisdom to any species that wants to learn and grow. Looking around the chamber, Cooper saw not fear in the alien's eyes, but hope. The US Nemesis had arrived bringing fear, yes, but that fear had led to understanding, and understanding had led to peace. On Earth, more ships like the Nemesis were being built, but they weren't warships anymore. They were guardian vessels, meant to protect and serve. Captain Wilson and his crew had become teachers, helping train the next generation of Earth's guardians. Dr. Foster continued to study the ancient structures, learning more about humanity's past. But she spent just as much time teaching young Zarx scientists, showing them that knowledge was meant to be shared, not hoarded. And in space, the US Nemesis still patrolled, its hull glowing with the light of ancient wisdom. It had come to represent not just humanity's power, but their commitment to peace. The ship that had brought fear to the galaxy had ended up bringing something far more important: hope for a better future for all species. The age of fear was over. The age of guardians had begun again.